for the last race.
Yeah.
And he used to
I
be
stayed because I bet on the last race. I needed 5 to win.
Yeah,
Who
I don't want to
bought
last race.
it?
That's what we're gonna do. The payout was only $5, so I left it. I'm like, oh,
Maybe that's what drove him crazy.
Do you know who bought horse number 8?
Yeah, depending on what hospital he worked at, that could be crazy.
I was gonna, like, if there was a suggestion box,
From general, that'll
if there was a way to maybe keep the night flowing a little bit
Right in
more.
the pit.
No.
They have the second show. Yeah, just how bad people
I do
are.
feel like there was kind of a
I
lot of
love
time
Akron General Hospital.
but it was kind of nice because you put your bed
Don't
in,
ever
you
go to
put
the
your for a
gym.
second.
I will never go to Akron General.
I think it was just at the end, I felt like it was just lost
They go to my neighbor's
focus for some reason.
I was surprised. Because usually that last race is
like
the most exciting.
Cleveland Clinic, one East Fairlawn,
And I felt like everybody was
off of
like,
the
yeah.
Wellness Center on 18.
I think
Great.
people have horses left.
They're great. But yeah, no.
Oh wait, don't forget that was people there.
There wasn't. And like, I was pretty much right by the door, and they're like, horse number 8. I just turned and walked in, like, beat all the traffic.
Yeah, usually that last
I was tired.
You guys might have a funny New York story there.
Good evening, everyone. Today is November 17th. We have a committee of the whole meeting tonight, but first we are going to do individual committee meetings. And we're going to start off with street sidewalks and lighting with Mrs. Beck.
Thank you, Mr. President. This time, I'd like to call the Street Sidewalk and Lighting Committee to order. Today is Monday, November 17th, 2025, at 6 p.m. All members of my committee are present, except for President Greer, and all other members noted on my sheet. Tonight, we have one request for legislation referred from Utilities, a letter from Todd Shreve, Service Director, requesting legislation to enter into contract with Hisong Kenworth of Richfield in the amount of $786,922 for the purchase of 3 new 2025 Kenworth T480 snow and ice trucks. Emergency wording and 1 reading requested. Please see request, and we are referring this to Finance. We are referring the referral. Are there any remarks on this piece of legislation from my committee? Alrighty. Anybody in the council? Remarks? Okey dokey. May I have a motion to call this for a vote?
I'll make that motion.
A second?
Okay. You can't.
I can't.
I can, I'll second, or do you want to second?
I'll second.
There we go, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okey-dokey. So I don't have any pending legislation. I do have 2 things for miscellaneous before I ask anybody else. Second Street, festoon lighting, a little bit of an update on that. There's going to be a meeting on Friday with Hayward and Duffy and Associates for the final hookups. So it seems like we're getting a lot closer to the lighting of those, hopefully like super duper soon. There's a little bit of a plan for a date, but I don't want to say it yet, just in case we don't make it.
Christmas ball?
Shh.
I'd say anything.
So tentatively, maybe. And then lastly, the cutout report. Looks like there are 14 cutouts left. There were a couple of new ones. I know we were supposed to be down in the single digits this week, but there were a couple that came up this month. So Mr. Shreve should be sending us the cutout report pretty soon. But other than that, that's everything that I have for an update. Are there any remarks from my committee? Okay. Anybody in council? Anybody in the gallery? Okey-dokey. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
I'll second.
We are adjourned at 6:04.
Thank you, thank you, Mrs. Beck. Environmental Health and Social Services, Mrs. Hager.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. Environmental Health and Social Services is meeting this evening in council chambers at 603. All members of my committee, including myself as chair, Shorter Griffin is co-chair, Taylor Thompson are present except for Justin Greer. All members of council and guests as noted on my list. We have no pending legislation, no request for legislation. Is there any miscellaneous discussion from my committee or the council? From the gallery? Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. In a second. I guess I'll second. Okay. And with that, we are at 6:04.
Thank you, Mrs. Hager. Planning, annexation, and codes. Mr. Heidi.
Thank you, Mr. President. Planning and Annexation Codes, Monday, November 17th, 2025. It is 6:04 in council chambers. The committee is present, which consists of Councilors Thompson, Harris, myself as chair, and Justin Greer is absent. All others noted. We have no request, nothing pending. We have the director and the assistant director here. So, lady and gentlemen, would you care to update us on anything?
Sure. I think just a couple of things. The development code, we have it. I anticipate taking it to Planning Commission on Wednesday to discuss next steps. So they may want to have a work session in December and then vote on it at their regular meeting in December. But I anticipate Planning Commission voting on that to recommend to City Council in December, and then it would go before you after that date. So that's really exciting. I know that you guys have been in contact with the Planning Department about a side lot program through Summit County Land Bank. So I do have some information on that, but we are not going to start that program until January 1 because Summit County Land Bank, they are updating their application fees. So we want to make sure that we let them update their process before we, flood them with a bunch of City of Barberton folks that are interested in buying land. But we have identified that there are 97 vacant lots within the City of Barberton that we do not own that have back taxes. So getting you guys those letters and that information for Summit County Land Bank is going to make this program and hopefully those lots disappear, quickly. I think it'll be great for the residents to learn a little bit more about it and to have you guys as advocates for it as well. But I think that's all I have unless you guys have questions for me. Like I said, Planning Commission is this Wednesday, and then we have Design Review Board tomorrow. Design Review Board, we have 5 applications coming before us for signage. This was in partnership with the foundation in Main Street Barberton. So part of them getting the grant that they applied for through the foundation is contingent upon them getting permission or approval rather from Design Review Board because they're all in the historic district. So this is the most I think Design Review Board has seen in one meeting and all the time I've been here. So that's really exciting that businesses are taking advantage of it and moving forward. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Director. Assistant Director, you got anything?
Not to brag, but I wrote 2 of those staff reports for the meeting, so watch out.
Jumping right in, I like it.
He is. He's doing a great job.
Yeah. Anything from the body? From the gallery? Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. We are adjourned at 6:07.
Thank you, Mr. Heidick. Finance and Personnel, Mrs. Thompson.
Thank you. I'd like to bring the Finance and Personnel Committee to order. It is Monday, November 17th, 2025, 6:07 p.m. here in Council Chambers. Members of my committee present includes myself as chair, Mr. Heidick, Mr. Griffin, President Greer is absent, and we have all other council members present as well as guests as noted on my sheet. We have several requests for legislation this evening. The first being a letter from Chief Polachek, Barberton Fire Department, requesting a reappropriation from the unappropriated item of the general fund to the fire department's operating budget. Emergency wording in one reading is requested. And this is a reimbursement of funds from the Assistance to Firefighters Grant, and the amount is $6,375.18. This was part of a grant that was awarded to provide physicals to the firefighters. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, do I have a motion to call?
Motion?
Okay, I will second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, next we have a request from Chief Morber from the Police Department requesting legislation to appropriate $7,500 from the Ohio Fund to the Police Department operating account in the One Ohio Fund. Emergency wording, one reading is requested. This will be used to provide police officers with trauma-informed resiliency, health and wellness training and support. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, do I have a motion to call?
Motion?
Thank you. I will second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Is, Mr. Heidick, is 2 enough for finance to put that to the floor?
You are the chair of this committee, Councilor Griffin. Councilor Griffin is on as a member. This is not his committee, so he's not the presiding officer. You are. In the other ones where he's not listed as a member, he would not be able to vote.
Okay, so he's still, I'd say in those. Mr. Griffin, are you opposed to either of those?
No.
Okay. Okay, moving on. A request from Chief Morber from the Police Department requesting legislation to appropriate $24,000 from the One Ohio Fund to the Police Department operating account in the One Ohio Fund. Emergency wording, one reading requested. And this one will be put towards upgrading and outfitting a K-9 vehicle and a Detective Bureau vehicle. Any remarks? Hearing none, do I have a motion to call, please?
Motion?
Thank you. I'll still second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next, we have a request from Jeremy Flaker, our Finance Director, requesting legislation accepting the Auditor of State selection of Julian and Groove to be our independent public account for the city's fiscal, for the fiscal years of 2025 through 2029. Emergency wording, one reading requested. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, do I have a motion to call, please?
Motion?
Thank you. I will second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Moving on. Another request from our Finance Director, Jeremy Flaker, requesting legislation to enter into contract for a lease purchase agreement for the purchase of 3 dump trucks. The total amount to be financed will be $786,992. Emergency wording and one reading requested. Mr. Flaker stated he believes the trucks are sitting on a lot ready to go. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, do I have a motion to call, please?
Motion?
Thank you. I will second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Moving on. Next, this was referred from rules. Letter from Thomas Bebe Heidick requesting legislation to appropriate $150,000 from the unappropriated funds of the general fund and directing $50,000 per year for 3 years for 2026, 2027, and 2028 to be paid to Main Street Barberton for the economic development of downtown. Emergency wording, one reading requested. Are there any remarks? Hearing none, do I have a motion to call?
Motion?
Thank you. I will second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. We have a request from our Service Director, Todd Shreve, requesting legislation to enter into contract with Hissong Kenworth of Richfield in the amount of $786,000, or $786,992 for the purchase of 3 new 2025 Kenworth T480 snow and ice trucks. Emergency wording, one reading requested. And we just talked about that. Any remarks regarding that? Hearing none, do I have a motion to call?
Motion?
Thank you. I will second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye as well. Next, we have a request from Mayor William Judge requesting legislation to enter in a contract for the Construction Manager at Risk, CMR, for the City Hall Justice Center project. Emergency wording and one reading is requested. Mayor, did you guys have those? Yeah.
So interviews are later this week, but I made the request for emergency wording, but not one reading.
Okay.
Number of readings is up to council, but emergency, just once it's passed, if it's passed, allows it to go into effect as soon as I sign it. We don't have to wait 30 days. So,
Okay. Yeah, I
interviews are
didn't
later
know.
this week, so hopefully we'll have a clear winner later this week, Monday at the latest.
Okay. Okay, so we'll remove the one reading. And yeah, just keep us updated on that, please. Okay. Do I have a motion to call for this?
Motion?
Okay, I will second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have a letter from Todd Shreve requesting legislation to pay an invoice to GPD for work completed in the amount of $13,002.54 for construction administration and inspection services. Emergency wording, one reading requested. Are there any remarks? I don't see Mr. Shreve back there. Since there's no questions, can I have a motion to call for that, please?
Motion?
Okay, I will second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have another request from Todd Shreve, Service Director, requesting legislation to enter in a contract with Hasenstab Architects for architectural services for City Hall Justice Center projects. Emergency wording, one reading requested. I just saw this when I arrived today, much like all of you. So, it says, and the proposal is also attached. With that letter, you guys should all have that. And it includes work at both building sites. Are there any questions on that, Mr. Hyder?
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Mayor, on this one, what is the difference between what's being asked and what's already been done with the preliminary drawings that we've had for a couple of year and a half, maybe?
Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't have that information in front of me, I'm not sure, but there's a lot more work that has to be done. So those were the schematic drawings, they gotta kind of get to the nitty gritty now. So that's kind of the 30,000 foot explanation. I don't have the specifics in front of me.
But this type of, what this is asking wasn't included in the first round of?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair, that's it.
Yeah, thank you. Are there any other remarks on this one?
Yeah, question.
Yep.
Almost thinking this should follow what we're doing here for the CMR, and here's why. They've named a few mechanical contractors who are doing their own design. So be nice not to double design, if that makes sense. We don't want Hasenstab to move things that they put in place because the mechanical engineer needs to get ductwork through that wall. Be nice to have the mechanical stuff before the non-load bearing interior stuff goes in, chases and all that kind of stuff. So if we can do the second reading on this, just to follow with the first, with the CMR, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, the architect and GPD will work with.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So to get this guy in front of this guy, they either need to run together or
Yeah.
they need to run like this, to be honest with you. So let's not put the cart in front of the horse. We want them, that's just my recommendation.
Yeah.
That's all I have, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So are you suggesting we do 2 readings on both?
We follow however many readings we do with the CMR with housing stop. So if we go 2, if we go 3, I just say they follow each other.
So 2 on one, 3 on the others?
No, I'm saying if we do 2 on the CMR, then we do 2 on housing stop. If we do 3, then I want this one to follow the CMR. They need to be together.
Understood?
That makes sense to me as well, and when I read that this one was requesting 1 reading, though I know it has the architectural firm, I agree, I think it should go hand in hand, and we could, if we have all the information, could do 2 readings, but I think we should remove the 1 reading from that. Are there any other remarks regarding that one? Okay. With, after removing the 1 reading, do I have a motion for that?
Motion?
Okay, how about a second? Those in favor?
Aye.
Alright. Okay, and then we have the finance report for October, which
Thank you. We're going to switch it up a little bit this month, and we're going to start with the income tax fund.
can you just, I'm sorry, 1 moment.
I'll give you 1 second. Everyone ready?
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Thank you.
No problem. So yeah, we're going to start off with the income tax fund because we switched the order up a little bit this month. The estimates for the month of October were just shy of 1.3. We collected a little over 1.8. Our actuals for the year, just a little over almost 14.2 million. That's up from last year. We did transfer 1 million from the income tax fund to the general fund. Leaves us with about 1 million left to go. Moving on to the health insurance fund. The revenues for the month were just over 454,000. Our expenditures for the month were just shy of 450,000, puts our net year to date at almost a negative 176,000. Moving on to the statement of cash receipts and disbursements. Few funds in the negative. It's the same funds that I've covered basically all year. The first fund, city grant fund. The next fund is the FEMA fund. All those are just federal grants right now between the dam, the sludge to watering building, all those different projects that we have going on there. The other one in the negative is the CDBG fund, which is the federal HUD program. Once again, once we do the expenditures, we can seek reimbursement. And then the last fund in the negative is the health insurance fund, and that is just due to the encumbrances outstanding for the healthcare charges that we have to pay Summit County every month. Looking at the last 3 months of activity, you'll notice the general fund did decrease some. The month of October is a 3-pay month, so all the funds are going to be hit up a little bit more than normal because we had that third pay. So that's part of why the decrease in the general fund from last month to this month. Special revenue funds, that did go up some. A lot of that has to deal with, we only transferred 1 million from the income tax fund, and our actuals were 1.8. So the income tax fund held on to more money, which is boosting up the total of the special revenue funds. The enterprise funds, they went up slightly by 500,000. You'll notice a big decrease in the encumbrances outstanding, which that decrease is leading to the unencumbered cash balance going up some. Looking at the all other funds did its normal $400,000 or $500,000 increase. All other funds really has no salary and wages, so that's never going to be really affected by a 3-pay month. Looking at October 24 to October 25, you'll notice the general fund is down by about 7.5 million. A couple things, down by 7.5. It's more like 1.5 because we did do that $6 million transfer this year. But a couple things, we haven't transferred as much as we did last year. If you look, last year's transfers at this time was almost 15 million. This year we've only transferred 8 million. So our transfers are down a little bit from last year at the same time. Special revenue funds is up. Combination there of us collecting a little more income tax. Transfers are down a little bit from last year. You'll notice last year the transfers at this time was about 15 million. We're only at about 14.1. And then encumbrances outstanding, you'll notice that decreased tremendously as well. And a lot of that has to deal with the ARPA funds being used up in this past year. Enterprise funds, that slightly down from last year at the same time, down by about 453,000. Just expenditures being up a little bit more. I mean, the revenues did go up, but expenditures also went up, so it negates that increase in the revenues. And then all other funds is up by about 5.5 million, but as I stated before, we did do that $6 million transfer from the general fund to the City Hall Administration Bill, or City Hall Justice Center Capital Project Fund, which is following in that. So it's actually down by about 500,000 from this time last year. And with that, that's all I have. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
With no questions, can I have a motion to call for that?
Motion?
Thank you. I will second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. I will go ahead and open it up for miscellaneous discussion for the committee or council members. Anything from the gallery this evening? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion?
Okay, I will second. We are adjourned at 6:25. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. No objections, we're going to just roll right on into the committee of the whole. We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Citizens addressing council.
Okay, we have Mike Barberton. Yes. Okay. You have 5 minutes. The council can't interact with you, but you have 5 minutes.
Great. I'll take 2.
That'll work. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, thank you for allowing me to take a few minutes just to speak this evening. My name is Mike Roberto, as mentioned. My address is 131 Overlook Drive in Kent, Ohio. So you might be wondering why a guy from Kent is here addressing City Council meeting tonight. I'm really here to listen more than I am to speak, but I thought it would be important to introduce myself in case you were wondering who's the guy in the blue shirt taking notes at the meeting tonight. As mentioned, I'm Mike Roberto. I am running for the 2026 open state Senate seat in District 27. District 27 includes all of Portage County and portions of Geauga and Summit County, including Barberton right here. I've recently retired after 34 years as a teacher and a coach and a school administrator, the last 5 as superintendent of the Aurora City Schools. And I'm running for the state Senate first because I want to continue to build on that 34 years of public service that I've been working on. And in particular, I also have concerns I suspect I should share with many of you. Concerns for public education, specifically the erosion of support of public education coming out of Columbus. I also have concerns about affordability, in particular pertaining to lack of affordable housing and property taxes that we're all being impacted by. And I suspect you might have concerns and know people who are losing access to health care. So I'm here tonight, and I'm planning on attending future meetings when able to better understand some of those concerns, and as well as the good things taking place in Barberton. So again, after the meeting, I'll be sure to share my contact information with each of you, should you like to keep the lines of communication open with me. But otherwise, thank you. I really appreciate you allowing me to take the time to introduce myself.
Thank you.
I only have one more. Is there anybody else that needed to speak? Okay, we have Tiffany Mead. And again, this means you have 5 minutes and they can't interact with you.
Tiffany Mead, 307 6th Street Northwest, Barberton. So I'm back with the towing issue. So last week when I was here, the next morning I requested the documents of paying how much we pay, because we really couldn't get a figure. We didn't know if we were paying. We didn't know anything. At 4/11 today I was sent documents with a total of $1,339,154.78 that we've paid Hookers, Recovery, All Ohio, whatever you want to call them, towing. That comes to an average, that's from 2012 to 2025 currently, what we've paid them. That comes to an average of roughly a little bit under $103,000 a year. We own the towing lot where they bring it and they store it. For $103,000 a year, we could have our own city tow employee and tow truck. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. We could create more jobs. But my bigger thing is, when I spoke with someone from the Attorney General's office, we're not real sure how this is clarified. We're told it's a personal service. We're told it's a contract. We really have no definitive answer on this. Ohio Attorney General Option 82-047 defines professional services as requiring a high-level specialized knowledge or professional judgment. Maybe towing falls under that. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Ohio Attorney General Opinion 92-062 clarifies that the task involving manual labor, routine operations, or mechanical work are not professional services. State Smith versus Fremont, Ohio, 1992, municipalities cannot bypass competitive bidding by simply labeling something professional services. It must actually qualify for that. Ohio prohibits indefinite renewals, i.e. point evergreen contracts, perpetual rollovers, or contracts that never return to competitive bidding. They define that with a $50,000 threshold. So that's from the Attorney General's office. So we have to figure out some answers on what's happening with the towing, because there's some definite money differences right there. We can't just make up what we want to do. Honestly, the amount of money that I just read to you, the $1 million, that came right from Hannah. There's 67 pages attached to it. I know when I emailed her, I emailed the whole safety committee with the request. When she emailed me back, it didn't attach any of your names onto it. One of the PDFs had 67 pages of itemized. Then there was, I think, 31 other pages of PDFs that were copies of receipts that they could find. But again, that only goes back to 2012. When President Greer and former Councilman Jabbar went with the auction issue, with Hookers buying that, they found cars that went all the way back to 2001 that Hookers were buying for between $65 and $100. So there's a whole mesh of money that the city is kind of lopsided on. And I think for taxpayers, you owe the taxpayers answers to figure out what's happening with those money figures. Because it's our money. It's not personal money. It might be defined as a personal contract, but It's not anybody's personal money, it's taxpayer money. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Hardy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to raise a point of clarification. Director Flaker, Ms. Meadaloo mentioned a $50,000 threshold. Is that not changed to the $77,500 currently this year?
So,
I just want to clarify a number there.
yeah, ORC adopted, our procurement process follows the same procurement process outlined in ORC, which they changed in 2023. Was it end of 2023? They made the threshold $75,000 of anything that needs to come before council. Stayed the same in 2024, and then in 2025 was the first year of a 3% increase, and it increases 3% annually, or as dictated by the state. So if you get my guess of what the state will do is if they get something with a weird cent, they'll probably do some rounding. So it might be a little more than 3% or a little under, because they did put the stipulation in as ordered by the state, so.
But just for clarification, that 50 is now 75 or 75 plus 3% currently today.
Correct, of what needs to come to council.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Just
Thank you,
point of
Mr. Hyde.
clarification.
Okay, we have committee reports. Street, sidewalk, and lighting, Mrs. Beck.
Thank you, Mr. President. Street, sidewalk, and lighting met this evening in council chambers. We had one piece of requested legislation. It was referred from utilities. A letter from Todd Shreve, Service Director, requesting legislation to enter into contract with Bissong Kenworth for the amount of $786,922. We're referring that to finance. And with that, I pass.
Thank you, Mrs. Beck. Mrs. Hager, Environmental Health and Social Services.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. Environmental Health and Social Services has nothing to report, and with that, I pass.
Thank you. Planning, Annexation, and Codes, Mr. Heidi.
Thank you, Mr. President. Planning, Annexation, and Codes has nothing to report. That I pass.
Thank you, sir. City Properties, Parks, and Recreation, Mr. Easterling.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had two requests for legislation, both from Councilor Heidig. We tabled one, and he withdrew the second. And we have two pieces of pending legislation, ordinance number 161, 2025, and ordinance 162, 2025, both from Director Carr about selling city property used and or buildable and unbuildable. That's all. With that, I pass.
Thank you, Mr. Easterling. Public Welfare and Safety, Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. Public welfare and safety, excuse me, met, and we have nothing to report, and with that, I pass.
Thank you, sir. Rules, Marketing, and Development, Mrs. Gerhart.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. Rules, Marketing, and Development met on Monday, November 10th. Our first request for legislation was from Councilman Heidick, requesting legislation to appropriate $150,000 from the unappropriated funds to the general fund. That passed out of my committee and went to Finance. And then we also passed Councilman Harris's request for legislation to amend BCO 1060.99, that if their appeal is approved, they can get the money back from going before the Board of Appeals. And with that, I pass.
Thank you, Mrs. Gerhart. City Utilities, it's myself here. City Utilities met on November 10th, 2025. All members of my committee were present. Myself as chair, Jennifer Hager, Emily Beck, and Justin Greer. We had one piece of legislation to call for. A letter from Todd Shreve, Service Director, requesting legislation to enter into contract with Bissong Kenworth of Richfield, Kenworth, in the amount of $786,992 for the purchase of 3 new 2025 Kenworth T480 snow and ice trucks. The emergency wording and one reading was requested. and we requested, we referred this to finance. And with that, I pass. Finance and Personnel, Mrs. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. Finance and Personnel is calling for the following legislation. The first request was from Chief Polachek from Barberton Fire Department, requesting a reappropriation from the unappropriated item of the general fund to the fire department's operating budget. Emergency wording, one reading requested. A request from Chief Vince Morber, Barberton Police Department, requesting legislation to appropriate $7,500 from the One Ohio Fund to the Police Department's operating account in the One Ohio Fund. Emergency wording, one reading requested. Another request from Chief Morber to appropriate $24,000 from the One Ohio Fund to the Police Department's operating account in the One Ohio Fund. Emergency wording and one reading requested. A request from Jeremy Flaker, Finance Director, requesting legislation to accept the Auditor of State's selection of Julian and Group to be our independent public account for the city's fiscal years 2025 through 2029. Emergency wording, one reading requested. Another request from Mr. Flaker to enter in a contract for a lease purchase agreement for the purchase of 3 dump trucks. Total amount to be financed will be $786,992. Emergency wording, one reading requested. A referral from Rules from Mr. Heidick, requesting legislation to appropriate $150,000 from the unappropriated funds of the general fund, directing $50,000 per year for 3 years to be paid to Main Street Barberton for economic development. Emergency wording and one reading requested. A request from Service Director Todd Shreve to enter into contract with Hisong Kenworth of Richfield in the amount of $786,992 for the purchase of 3 new 2025 Kenworth T480 snow and ice trucks. Emergency wording, one reading requested. A request from Mayor William Judge to enter into contract for the Construction Manager at Risk, CMR, for a City Hall Justice Center project. Emergency wording requested. Another request from Todd Shreve, Service Director, to pay an invoice to GPD for work completed in the amount of $13,002.54 for construction administration and inspection services. Emergency wording and one reading requested. Another request from Todd Shreve, Service Director, to enter into contract with Hosden Staub Architects for architectural services for the City Hall Justice Center projects. Emergency wording requested. We're also calling for the acceptance of the finance report for the month of October. We adjourned at 6:25, and with that, I will pass.
Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. That concludes our reports, committee reports for tonight. President Greer will be back next week. Do I have any comments from the body?
Actually,
Yes, Mr. Easterling.
Mr. President, thank you. I was going to hold off since we don't have a whole lot of our department heads here tonight, but the request for some of this legislation with the financing, I would like to see, and this is just a call out to those that request, but we'll take the dump trucks, for instance. You know, there's $787,000, but there's $85,000 in finance charges for interest on this. That's, part of what we're actually financing. And I would just like that stuff noted, the actual cost on request for money down the road, just because when it comes to budgets, you see one number, but there's still another $90,000 that's not, noted. And I just ask that stuff be noted on request when we're financing stuff, if we know what our finance costs are. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Have anyone else from the body? Could I have the mayor's report?
Mr. Vice President, a few updates here. First, I want to thank everyone who attended and thank the Barberton VFW for the Veterans Day ceremony last Tuesday. They always do a great job, and love the fact that they're centered right here in downtown Barberton. Change for Change last week for the Reynolds Classic Stroke Awareness at the Green Diamond. Brought in about $300 for that. I believe those games should be starting here later towards Christmas. Last week had an opportunity to meet with the representative from Congresswoman Sykes' office, asking about project goals and needs for the community to see what kind of fits with some of the grant funding that may be available in 2026. So, as I mentioned to council, this is not a for or against data centers, but with the moratorium on data centers that was approved last week, I would like to see a definition of data centers. There was a quote-unquote data center in Barberton that occupied 12,000 square feet. The company held servers for many, many different companies. They didn't use a lot of power or anything out of the ordinary, but it's considered a data center. So I think there needs to be a better definition. I know what council was getting at. I think everyone's on the same page, but I'd like to define that somehow. And I'm not saying I know how to define that right here today as I stand before you, but I think that needs to have some work as we move forward. So, there has been a number of increased calls to my office, and you may have received some too, of wild animals kind of running throughout the city, more skunks and possums and deer and things like that. Animal control for Summit County will not come out and get those animals. The biggest way to, or the best way to eliminate that is to eliminate food sources. So if you see food sources in your, in your yard or something like that, eliminate those. I know some people, I've heard that they feel bad for the animals because they're out there, they don't want them to starve, but these animals, their natural instinct is to go find food. So if they don't find it in your yard, they're going to go somewhere else. With developments happening out in more rural areas, the animals have to go somewhere. And I know we all have stories of seeing deer and on Van Buren or in Tuscarora Park or at Edgewood or wherever. And they don't seem to be scared of humans either. They just kind of stare at you. But that, I believe, and I've mentioned this at council before, that I think these calls are going to increase because they're looking for food. But eliminate the food source. There's sprays and different things that you can buy as well, but you eliminate the food source, and that should be that should help out quite a bit. Last thing I want to bring up, if you guys receive any calls or emails about an irregular utility payment or something just doesn't look right, we dove into this, got some emails. So the correct email, if you get an email, your utility bill, it'll say on the left-hand side here, how much is owed, invoice number, account number, and the due date. And then over here, you'll have some updates. So in this case, it says in bold, trash cans not removed from the right-of-way per ordinance 76, 2025, City of Barberton, you'll be fined, right? So what we found, and we think it's limited to Yahoo accounts. If you have a Yahoo email account, its AI will grab some of this information, but not all of it. And so one gentleman owes $65.28. But if you look at his email, it looks like he owes $65.28 because he didn't remove his trash cans, which obviously is not in the legislation, which obviously ask if there's an issue on our side or ask if this is a scam or something. Well, he has Yahoo email. So if you look at what he sent me, down here at the bottom it says edited with AI. Right, and obviously we blew this up. Also it says, towards the bottom here, created by Yahoo AI, or Yahoo Mail. So we haven't found this with any other email provider. It just grabs some bold print and it makes it look like that's what your bill is, right? So if you get something weird like that, ask them to look and see if they have Yahoo email as their provider, and that's probably it. There's an example here where it appears that we billed somebody, how much did we bill them? $149 for Lake Anna Park mums, for 17,000 mums. That's the way it looks. So again, they have Yahoo as their email provider. We do not bill residents for 17,000 mums, and if we did, it would not cost $149. So this came up. Obviously, AI is here, and it's not always great. So just wanted to throw that out there. So, yes.
So as far as trash can violations go, we're not emailing violations to anybody,
No,
correct?
no,
So, okay.
But, yeah, right.
This was pretty isolated with this water bill and the AI and the Yahoo.
Yeah,
But
several
just so
different-
we know, we aren't emailing anybody trash can violations
No.
regardless.
No,
Okay,
and there's several examples here, and they're all Yahoo accounts.
okay.
So we started diving into this and then noticed that it was all Yahoo, so.
Mhm. And then my other question, back to your meeting with Amelia Sykes. I know she had came into the foundation to talk about the BWXT projects and stuff. So did you guys talk about that, or were there other things that you're able to share with us?
We just talked about projects going on in the city and needs. You know, we talked about the government shutdown and how that's affected the city and our residents. We talked about needs moving forward, like a fire truck, a ladder truck. Always a need for infrastructure, roads, water lines, sewer lines. We get a lot of that funding through grants from the state, but some may be available at the feds, right? So we talked about those things. We talked about Lake Anna, since we previously received a grant through her office for the visitor center. Spoke about the city justice center building as well. And then, you know, if there's any possible new programs that are going to come up. Obviously talked about the importance of community development block grants, which has kind of been in the news as maybe on the chopping block, which we've received since late 70s, early 80s every year. So kind of a wide array of issues or topics that all affect us here in Barberton.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. When you speak of defining the data centers a little more, this Wednesday's Planning Commission meeting, I intended to ask them to work on kind of, over the next couple months, what a distance from certain areas should be, sizes, things like that. The problem we ran into here in Barberton is with a development code that's been in the works for 3 years, I was afraid to try to take any definition of it, give it to the director to add to them, and OHM delaying us another 4 months based on one note. So a blanket one with hopefully the commission's research, and I can chime in on some of my own, that once we get the code, we can amend it in there. Trying to put the note in now, again, it would be June before we see the development code at the pace that company works, and I'm not even exaggerating. We ran into a horrible time of getting a new code. Plus, if we get the code mid-December and we have some parameters for data centers mid-December, but we can't agree on those parameters, this year's the end of the legislative session, so it would fall off completely and have to start over next year. Again, this was all just horrible timing, hopefully protecting now, give us time to do the work with a new council, with a new code. I understand what you're saying, and I get it, and it really does need better defined, but we're at the worst time in the world to try it.
Yeah.
So-
No, and I get it. It wasn't a criticism by any means.
Oh, no, but that's
I
kind of
didn't
the
veto the
logistic I had
legislation,
behind
yeah.
all of that.
Yeah, I think that we're all on the same page, and, you know, it was approved last week, and some people stood up, you know, applauding council, and others stood up saying, we're anti-business, and it's like, no. I realize the timing, and it's a big word. Data center is a big word that means a lot of different things. And as far as I know, we don't have anyone kind of in that 12,000 square foot example that I used that is looking to move here right now, but yeah, something to discuss in the future here.
If we weren't getting the new development code,
Yeah,
we'd be in a better spot.
yeah. And it's not going to be easy to define data center. Right.
Thank you.
They will have Yahoo, AI do that. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
With nothing else from the body, we are adjourned at 6:52.
Baby, it's been over 4 years.